In this module for the TBU course, we will find, download, and modify our first data set, resident population, from the Census Bureau. First, we'll go to the Census Bureau's website at census.gov. Next, select Data at the top of the screen within the ribbon. And when that drop-down appears, select Data Main. Most data sets that we use come from American Fact Finder, so let's start there first. And you can see here that you can go on a guided advanced search or go directly to the Download Center. But this is a very popular data set, so it is listed. It's the very first data set listed under Population and Housing. So select that. And you'll see when this is on your screen that this is the census by state within the US. So let's go ahead and change that geography. Say add or remove geography. And we want this on the county level. So go ahead and select county and select Tennessee. And we want all counties within Tennessee, so add that to your selections. And select Show Table. And this is exactly what we'd like. So let's go ahead and download this. Select Download. I want to use this data, and since these are already clicked, let's go ahead and do that. Hit OK. And download your file, and download it to a place that you'll be able to find it later. So I'm going to open that and extract that to the same place. And I already had it there, so it's just giving me that error message. So let's go ahead and open this CSV to see what it looks like. So open the 2017 PEPANNRES with an.csv. Oh goodness, and look at this. I immediately see two rows, so my header is split out. This is the tech label, and this is the user-friendly label. So it looks like we're going to have to do a little bit of modification, but let's not do that here in Excel, but let's do that in Tableau. In order to do that, though, we'll have to go ahead and save this as a spreadsheet, as an Excel document. So hit File, Save As, and change the type to an Excel workbook. So that's good. We've saved it, and now let's go ahead and get out of it, because when you have that open and you try to modify it in Tableau, you'll run into some issues. So let's open 2018.1. and connect to that data set. So get out of your file recovery and connect to the data set you just saved. And you'll see here it pulls in a little differently. It shows your file names, and this first column, this first row, excuse me, is null pretty much across the board. So let's see what happens when we select to use the data interpreter. Great. It looks like that's actually combined both of those rows. Yeah. So this, it looks like it's the 2010 census, and this is the 2010 population estimate, so forth and so on. So first off, as we look across, it looks like we should rename these fields. So you can actually just double click into the name of the field, or you can just hit right click and rename. So it's kind of difficult to see what these names are. So first off, let's select this little button at the top that says Manage Metadata. It's right beside your data source drop down. And here you can actually see what the columns are. And since the rest of these are estimates, I do have 2010, the census, the estimates base, and the estimate for 2010 on. I only want to use the population estimate. So before we do anything else, I'm going to go ahead and hide the other because I don't really even need those. So now I'm going to rename these. I'll rename them to the year, 2010, 2011, 2012, 13, 14, on and on till you get to 2000. Oh, I didn't do that one right. And all I did was tab to go to the next level. So, and when I'm looking at this data, I can tell you I do not need the IDs for right now. I don't have anything to join it to. So let's hide that. And so let's look back at the data. That looks great. A couple more things though that could really help clean this up would be to split this column into county name and Tennessee. We have to change this so it knows that it's a county. Let's see what happens if we go ahead and just change this so it has a geographic role. We might not have to split it. So let's go ahead and select your ABC at the top and just left click and go down to geographic role and select county. And one more thing we'll do. You can leave your data like this. Actually, we'll do that. We'll leave our data like this, and then we'll see how it is to report on it, and we'll probably have to come back and pivot it. So let's change the name of this column to county, and let's go to your sheet. And if we select county here, we'll see if it shows us Tennessee counties. It does not know these. So let's go ahead and get back to that data source. So right click your data source and select Edit Data Source and select the column with your counties. We can reset the name because we'll have to name the other something else county, but do a custom split. And because we want more than one split, we want the county name and the state name, we could use the separator of a comma and split off the first, well, split off all columns. So hit OK. And now you can see you have two columns. It even splits up things like Van Buren correctly. So now we don't need this column here, but it's not giving us the option to hide it because we actually have it in that data, that sheet. So let's go ahead and change the geographic role now to county, and this one to state. And we can rename these now to county and state. I was trying to see if I can go ahead and make a hierarchy, but not in this view. You'll see that you have some fields are results of calculations or things like that split. You can tell because you don't see a border above these, and because there's an equal sign in front of those two data types. So let's go back to our sheet 1. Let's take off that display label. Now we can hide that and double click county. Oh, that's great. Now it knows that we're in Tennessee. But you'll have this issue a lot if you don't pull over state with your information. So let's go ahead and change this. Oh, left click the indicator at the bottom right hand side. It says 73 unknown. And you want to edit your locations. So select edit locations. And I know where my data's at. It's all in Tennessee. You can see before when it did that, it says ambiguous. It's not recognizing those counties because those counties are in several states. So to fix that to Tennessee, we would have to select that here. So fixed Tennessee and hit OK. And now every county shows up. And to make sure, we can actually change our mark type to map. And every county is highlighted, which means that we have data for every county. So great. Let's go and see what we can do about pivoting these fields now. If we don't pivot these fields, then I can't really tell I can't tell in one column what the population is. I'd have to drag out each one. So let's see what that looks like. That looks okay, but once I start dragging things out like county, you can't really get it's not the way that Tableau likes to play with your measures. Tableau likes a tall data set instead of wide. So where this might look okay for now, in order to create population changes, I would have to actually make one calculation that says the population difference from 2011 to 2010, another calculation that would go from 2012 to 2011. So you would just have to really replicate everything that you're doing for each individual year. So let's go ahead and pivot these. So right click at your data source and say Edit Data Source. And select your years. So I'm going to select 2010 through 2017. I'm holding down my Shift key. And you can right click and say Pivot. This is really cool. So now I don't have these fields, and they're not going to give me the option to hide because they're in my data set, I thought, or my screen. So now I could see it's pivoted everything, and now I've got these funky field names. So one, because it doesn't know what my values are, it doesn't really know what it's doing. So I can change this to year and population. So now when I go here, I can just pull up. It says no measure selected because I don't have anything in the filter, but that's my population. You can drag over years and see it like this. And it's great too, because now we could even do some table calculations on this. And we'll touch on that in just a little while. But so now we have a good clean data set to play with. So let's go ahead. We can extract this data if you'd like, or just, which means that we could play with the back-end data if we needed to. But I'm not going to worry about that. I'm actually going to add this to my saved data sources. So select that, and it saves it in your repository for data sources. This is 2018.1. You see there's the Superstore data, so I'm just going to save this like that. So now, go ahead and close out of your screen. You don't have to even, I mean, you could save this. I'm going to go ahead and save this. I'm going to save it to that drive where I've got all my stuff for this course. And if you are saving it with a live connection, it's going to try and save it as a TWB file, which is fine. But if you're sending it to another person, you're going to want to change that so it packages that data with the workbook. I'm going to leave it as a TWB for now. Hit save. And see, now I've got a name. If you close out of this, and I'm going to open back up 2018.1. Now I've got my saved data source right down here. So the next time when we get into this data, now all you have to do is connect to that data source. So if I select that, now I've got my connection. Thank you very much for watching.